President Biden laid out this plan today, and he acknowledged that we have a problem in this country with high gas prices. But essentially, he said it results because of corporate greed, that big oil is just sitting on its laurels and collecting profits, returning them to shareholders. And so he wants to try to incentivize them to drill more by penalizing them. Do I understand that correctly?
Yeah, this is the logic of the Biden administration. This is the logic that says that the oil companies, which make money by producing oil, currently don't want to produce more oil to make more money because they're quote unquote greedy. Right. If you can figure out the logic of that statement, you can understand this administration and their perpetual failure to own and their lack of willingness to own up to the fact that they caused so much of this problem, their constant punishing of the oil and gas industry for 15 months now. And so we just hear these nonsensical, really insulting comments coming from this White House.
And in his proposed budget, which would have to be approved by Congress, he also had additional taxes on big oil. So I sort of sit back and look at this entire strategy and say that's not going to incentivize them. But Emily, let me ask you about energy independence in general, because the definitions here are different. Under President Trump, energy independence meant maximizing what we could do with fossil fuels. Under President Biden, and he said it again today, and Granholm said it there, it essentially means transitioning over to green energy. But to a certain extent, that could be very dangerous.
Well, let me tell you what is missing from the conversation and what is missing from the White House announcement today. And that is a critical tool in our national toolbox, homegrown biofuels like ethanol. The more we use homegrown biofuels, and we've got the capacity to do that today, you will extend our fuel supply, you will immediately bring down fuel prices, and of course, we will also be increasing our American energy independence.
And also, when you use the technology that you're describing there, we create some of the cleanest fossil fuels in this country. Some of the biggest polluters are, China and India, and they're doing nothing to reduce their fossil fuel emissions, whereas in this country, we've done a ton to do it, yet he still wants to penalize these companies. I want to talk back to, Daniel, go back to this point about the SPR release, because I was looking at the numbers. Essentially, when it comes to how many barrels of oil are used per day, here in the United States, it's roughly 20 million. Globally, it's roughly 100 million. So you think about this 1 million barrels that the president wants to release per day for 6 months, and you essentially say to yourself, that is a teeny tiny drop in the bucket. Now, we could have been producing 2 more million barrels per day for the last year and possibly even gotten our energy producers to go past that, maybe to 15 million barrels. Isn't that more of a strategy that would be sound, at least in this crisis that we're in?
Absolutely. And you hear Jennifer Granholm, the energy secretary, in that quote you just played, where she says we shouldn't have to go to foreign countries for oil and gas. And I would agree with her. We don't have to go to foreign countries for oil and gas. We can produce enough in North America, and our allies in Canada and Mexico for all of us. And so she's absolutely right in that sense. So again, this is a problem that is brought about by the fact that they have made it impossible to get the necessary permitting. They keep talking about these 9,000 leases. Look, a simple analogy. You have access to land. Do you have permission to build a house? No. Do you have permission to dig a well or do septic? No. Build a farm? No. So don't tell me about 9,000 leases when you're stopping all of the other tools I need to produce oil and gas. So if they would just leave us alone and let us do what we do best, we could return to those 2019 numbers of energy independence.
Yeah, and Emily,